again, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. And today, well, with the approach of spring, I'm going to show you how to make the butterfly chevron blanket. Absolutely love how this came out. Now, this was actually inspired by the shawl and blanket that I had done previously. The blanket was a square starting from the center out, and the shawl was a top-down shawl. And I thought, could I make this into a chevron blanket? Well, the proof is in the pudding. Yep. And it's actually really quite simple. And also, I do have the written pattern available on my Etsy store as well. And the link to that is going to be in the description box down below. So if you like that, check it out. So for this particular project, I used Burnett Baby Sport. By the way, this video is not sponsored, but as always, I like to let you know what it is that I use in case if you want to duplicate the results. So I used 2 full skeins of this particular yarn. And so for the specs, it is 100% acrylic, and it is approximately 1,077 yards. And it is a it's a lightweight of 3. So I used a 5mm hook, which is a size H, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to be using the same thing for today's example. So yes, I used 2 skeins of this yarn, and the finished dimensions of my blanket that I came up with were about 69 inches in length and about 47 inches in width. Now that was with 5 multiples for the repeat. Now, of course, what I always like to try to do is give you the multiples so that you can make your project as wide or as narrow as you want to. So if you want to make it for a baby or a queen size bed, hey, more power to you. The only thing that I would really recommend, though, is using perhaps either a solid color yarn or one that has a nice slow ombre to it. If you have lines of color changing, it might be a bit distracting and take away from the butterflies. So, with that being said, let's get started with our base chain. Okay, so before we get into the base chain and the multiples, I do want to give a very, very big warm thank you to my testers who helped me get this pattern where I wanted it to be. So thank you very, very much. Your help is indispensable. So that being said, our base chain, right? Well, the base chain, it's a multiple of 44 chains plus an additional 3 chains. So you can make this as wide or as narrow as you want to. I did 2 multiples of 44 plus an additional 3. So I have 91 chains for my particular swatch that I'm going to show you today. And so I always recommend do the swatch first, see how you like it, get used to it, and then figure out based on your swatch how many multiples you'll need for the desired width of your blanket. So what I want you to do is do your multiples of 44 plus an additional 3, and we'll get started on row 1. Alrighty. Okay, row 1. By the way, we are going to be working, technically speaking, from the top down. So if you're using a yarn that changes color, you might want to put that into account. So into the 4th chain from the hook, going to do a double crochet, and that skipped bunch of chains at the beginning, that does count as a double crochet. So technically we have 2 here. And then into the next 20 chains, double crochet. It's really a lot of double crocheting in this pattern. And so it's going to be 20 double crochets. So we're going to have technically a total of 22 double crochets at the beginning. Now, on the left edge and the right edge of your project, there's going to be an additional double crochet like this one right at the end, because we need to have the sides grow because we have the decrease in the middle. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind, but don't worry, we'll get there. So I already have, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7. I need a total of 22. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. Didn't get all the plies. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2 more, 21 and 22. Just want to double count because especially on the first row, it's important. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Perfect. Okay, so from here, going to skip 2 chains, and then into that next chain, double crochet, and into the next 20 stitches for a total of 21. It's one less because, like I said, on the edge, you always need that extra one. And like I said, this will become more apparent as we keep going. So we have 1, I need 20 more. And this skipping of those 2 chains, that's actually going to be creating our valley in the chevron. And right now we're approaching the peak, the hill, the mountaintop. So I've already got 3. And 5. 7. And 9. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. And should be 21. Unless if I forgot how to count, which does happen. Okay, so always do a double count, especially at the beginning. So we have our skip chain. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21. Perfect. Okay, so now we have reached the peak. So at this point, chain 2, and into that very next chain, double crochet, and into the next 20 chains for a total of 21 double crochets once again. So basically it's 21 doubles and 21 doubles, and it's either separated by skipping 2 chains or creating 2 chains and then doubling into the next stitch, the next chain. And the first row is always the most fiddly because we're working into chains, not into actual stitches. So please bear with me, but you guys should know I do like to be thorough, if nothing else. But I figure that doing 2 multiples should be enough for you guys to really get the gist of how this pattern works. And of course, also, like I said, if you prefer a written pattern, that will be available on the Etsy store. Either way, you know. And so how many do I have? Let's see, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Okay, so we have the valley, sorry, we have the peak here, the hill here. So now we're going to be doing another valley. Okay, so to do the valley again, going to be skipping the next 2 chains and into the 3rd chain, double crochet. And because I'm only doing 2 repeats, it's going to be double crocheting to the end. Although, like I said, you would keep repeating the valleys and the peaks over and over again as many times as is necessary until you reach the last bunch of stitches. But we're getting there. Besides, I like spending time with you guys. Now, a couple of these rows actually for this pattern are repeats of each other, and I'm not going to do all of them, but I will do what is important. Okay, so we just have a few more to go. Three more. And doing 3 more, that should actually be a total of 21, but we need 22 because the first stitch and the last stitch of each row always have 2 double crochets in those stitches. So we'll do a count. So from that last valley, those skipped chains, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21. We need 22. We started with 22. We need to finish with 22. So in that last stitch, do 2 double crochets. Very, very important. Otherwise, you're going to run out of stitches, and we don't want that. So you can see how we have our valley and our peak and our valley, and technically this will be a peak. That's why we have the extra double crochet there. So with that being said, let's go on to row 2. All right, so rows 2 and 3 are exactly the same, so I'm going to spare you that. All right, so to start off row 2, going to chain up 3, turn the work, and double crochet into that first stitch. And then going to double crochet our way all the way down until we reach our valley. And again, that's going to be 22 double crochets. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Okay, so at this point, to keep the valleying, if that's a word, we're going to skip these next 2 double crochets, and we're going to go into the next one. So do not chain, just go directly from this double crochet, skip, skip, and then go into that next one with a double crochet, and then 20 more double crochets for a total of 21. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then the 21st you're going to do into that chain 2 space. So that's 21. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 21. Perfect. Okay, so then to keep the hilly, chain 2, and into that same chain 2 space, double crochet, And then we're going to work our way down to the valley again. So it's going to be, again, a total of 21 double crochets, this one included. So we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. And then, so again, because this is the valley, we're going to skip these 2 double crochets and going into that third with a double crochet. Now, because this is the end of the road, we need a total of 22 because we're going to be doing a 2 double crochets into that last stitch. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and be sure to go into the top of this last chain. Otherwise, you will mess up your stitch count. So yeah, go into the top of this chaining up of 3 that we skipped at the beginning. And I didn't quite get in there. There we go. I got it. And 2 into that stitch. 2 doubles, like so. So again, yes, I'm going to double count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. It's always 22 at the very, very end and the very, very beginning. So that is row 2. Now, row 3 is exactly the same. You would chain up 3, double crochet into that very first stitch, and then another 20 double crochets all the way down until you reach your valley. Skip these 2 stitches, and then it will be 21 double crochets all the way up. That 21st is in the chain space, chain 2, double crochet in the same chain space, then 20 double crochets all the way down, so a total of 21, and then skip the valley again, those 2 double crochets, and then it will be 22 going up because this is the end. Again, be sure to do your 2 double crochets in that very last stitch. Okay, so going to do row 3 off camera, and I will meet back up with you for row 4. Alrighty. All right, so we are on row 4. We have our 3 solid rows, all nice and pretty. And at this point, you should definitely see a sort of, a dip in the valley and a peak forming as well. It's, a little subtle at the moment, but it will become more pronounced as we get more fabric. So for row 4, we're going to start the fun part, which is the lacy bits, the beginning of the butterflies themselves. So again, chain up 3 and turn your work. And as always, at the beginning, double crochet into that first stitch because we need to add that extra one in there. And we need another 6 more double crochets for a total of 8 on this edge, and it will be 8 on the opposite edge. Otherwise, it's 7s. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, because this always counts as a double crochet. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So now going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then skipping 7 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, into that 8th stitch, do a double crochet. Also, I find it helps if you sort of hold that yarn over in place while you're getting yourself situated. And double crochet. So we have 7 chains and skipped 7 double crochets. And we need to do 6 more double crochets on top of this one for a total of 7. It's like 7 is the lucky number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And again, we're going to be skipping those 2 doubles going into that 3rd one with a double crochet because we have to maintain that valley. And my yarn wants to get a little tangled, but that's okay. All right, so we've got 1. We need 6 more for a total of 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, then chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yarn over because we're going to skip another 7 double crochets. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then into that 8th stitch, double crochet. There we go. And then another 6 more for a total of 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, because that 7th one goes into that chain 2 space. Chain 2, double crochet into that same space, and then 6 more for the total of 7. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Chain 7 again, but I need to pull out some more yarn. Okay, so chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Skip 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into that 8th stitch. Double crochet. And 6 more for a total of 7. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Get your tangles out. There we go. Okay, so we've reached the valley. So again, skip those 2 double crochets, go into that 3rd with a double, and 6 more for a total of 7. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to chain 7 one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Skip the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into that 8th stitch. Double crochet. And into the next bunch of stitches, we need to have a total of 8. We started with 8, we need to finish with 8. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 in the last one for a total of 8. Seven, and another one in that same stitch for 8. All right, so that is the end of row 4. So at the beginning and at the end, you should have 8 stitches. Otherwise, you should then have 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, and 8. You know, it's always at the edges that it's a little bit weird because this is technically a peak, a hill. That's why we always add those at the beginning and at the end. Otherwise, yep, kind of throws things off. So let us proceed on to row 5. Okay, row 5, it is sort of the same yet sort of different. The numbers are shifting a little bit. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. So we are going to start off the same though. Chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. Double crochet into the first stitch. So on the way down, we're going to have, instead of 8, we're now going to have 9 because we're adding a stitch here. And the thing is that the butterflies themselves are going to go, straight up and down from themselves. They're not going to be shifting. So it makes more sense once you have a couple of repeats under your belt. So at any rate, we've got 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, because we want to have the stitch over the stitch from the previous row. We want to maintain that shape. So yes, we start off with 9 double crochets. The chaining, however, does remain the same. So chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then double crochet into that first double crochet on the other side. And then 5 more for a total of 6. Not 7, but 6, because we need to maintain the valley. We're adding butterflies, but we are maintaining the peaks and the valleys. So things are shifting a little bit. So I've got 5. I just need 1 more. Now, the reason why it went from 7 down to 6 is because we still need to skip those 2 in the center there for that valley. So we have our 6, skip those 2 middle ones, and then go into the next stitch with a double and 5 more for a total of 6. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right over where we need to be. So from here, again, going to chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, double crochet into that first double crochet, and we're going to stitch into here. Now, down below it was 2, 4, and then 7, so it is going to be 8. On the edges, it's 9, otherwise it's 8 and 6. So I hope this is making sense. I am trying to be as, complete and comprehensible as I can be. So we have 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we need an 8th to maintain the peak. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Chain 2, and then into the same chain space, double crochet, and then 7 more down for a total of 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. And then chain 7 once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Double crochet into that first double. And then 5 more for a total of 6. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Skip 2, double into the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Skip that chain space, going into that first double. And work our way to the end, being sure to do 2 double crochets into that last stitch. So we've got 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2 in the last to make 9. Eight and 9. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Alrighty. So yeah, the numbers do get a little bit weird as far as the valleys and the peaks. Just always, always, always keep in mind that the very last stitch, you have 2 double crochets into that same stitch at the end, as well as the beginning, and that you are maintaining the shape of the butterfly wings, that frame that we have going on there. So it's going to be 9, and then 6, and 6, then 8, 2, 4, 6, yes, 8 and 8, then 6 and 6, and then you would end off on a 9. All right. So that being said, that wraps up row 5. All right, my dears, so that is going to conclude the first part of this tutorial. I really hope you're enjoying it so far. And the reason why I break up these tutorials is so that I can be thorough and comprehensive and really make sure that I'm doing what I need to be doing here for you guys. So again, thank you so much to my testers for helping me out with my pattern. Also, if you want to check out the written pattern, do check out my Etsy store. In the description box down below, you'll see a link as well as timestamps for the rows. And yeah, so listen, if you're enjoying this, please do give a little thumbs up button down below. Stay tuned for part 2. It'll be coming out soon. And you know what to do until next time, right? I want you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now, everybody, and have a great day.